So welcome to today's episode. We're going to be talking about leads, good leads versus bad leads, and what buckets they go in. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. I want you to walk away from this video with some tactics behind how you handle the leads. But more importantly, I got Kevin Jennings here, Director of Sales for one of the great teams at our company. And I'm excited to have him on board because, Kevin, you run an ISA team, right?
Absolutely.
How many ISAs do you run? Are you over?
We actually have a total of 5 ISAs.
5 ISAs. And for those of you who don't know what an ISA is, it's an inside sales agent. So we're talking like a licensed individual that talks to consumers over the phone, and they schedule appointments for the field agents, if you want to call it. That's what you refer to it as, right?
Correct.
Awesome. So the reason I brought Kevin on board is because Kevin and the team that he runs creates a lot of leads. And when I say a lot of leads, what are we talking?
On average per month, we're creating around 400, 450 leads per month.
400, 450 leads per month. And when you think about those type of leads that you create, what's the first line of action?
Speed to lead.
Speed to lead. What does that mean?
Calling them as soon as they actually come into your system.
Okay. And what value is that to the field agents that are out there?
Well, one thing that we've actually found is the faster you actually can connect with a lead, the more likely that lead is actually going to use you as an agent. So capturing them in the first seconds of them hitting your system is crucial.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've talked to some of the people that have been on the other side of that with their process, and what you find is that they're blown away when they're like, I'm still on the computer looking at the house, and you've called me while I haven't even clicked to the third picture yet. It's pretty cool.
That's definitely our goal.
Well, there's a lot of stats out there that will show that consumers will work with the first agent that they happen to meet. I also like to think and remember as well. So you got to follow up with them. Mm-hmm. So what Kevin's done with the ISA side of things is they've really captured speed to lead. And that's from 7 days a week from really early to really late, right?
Absolutely.
What's our time window?
Our time window is from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night.
Man, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. So that's pretty impressive. So when you think about leads and lead buckets, and especially for the agent, I'm talking to you agents, I'm talking to team leaders, I'm talking to everybody out there, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. And you think about the conversion ratios. If you start to think about, if we got 450 leads this month that come in, how many are going to turn into appointments? Right. And what most people think is I'll definitely get half of those turned into appointments. That's usually not the case, right?
No.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller. But here's the 2 buckets that I want to put these leads in right now. And Kevin, you may agree with me, and tell me what you think here. I think that there's a bucket that every agent wants out there. And what that is the bucket that has all the leads that are ready, willing, and able to buy.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's the key one for
sure.
Yeah.
Does your team pay a lot of money for that bucket?
Oh, absolutely.
A whole lot of money. Cost per lead is pretty darn up there, right? Okay.
Is.
Now we have this other bucket. Can we just put everything else in that bucket?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
So what would go in that second bucket?
It could be anything from credit issues, anyone looking to maybe even just prematurely looking, anything else other than the ready, willing, and able buyers.
It's literally everything else. So for example, maybe it's the girlfriend who is thinking that her boyfriend's about to propose and they're going to get married later in the year and they're going to be buying a house sometime maybe 18 months from now.
Right.
Would that go in that bucket?
Absolutely.
Those happen, right? Pretty wild stuff. And the thing is what do you think the majority of agents, Kevin? I mean, I know you got a great team and I know you've experienced a lot, but the majority of agents across the board, do you think agents value this bucket as much as they value this bucket?
No, I don't. And I think that's one thing that we as a team are trying to, coach and better our agents into understanding that these leads are just as valuable as the leads right over here.
Yeah, if not more. And it's all mindset. So, when we talk about a couple tactical things that we can think about with these buckets of leads is one, think about, the first thing is know your numbers. Know your numbers, know your numbers. How many leads are you getting a month? What are the sources of them? And what are your conversion ratios? So I know I've talked about this in the past, and I love to beat it to death because it's awesome. Do you know your cost per lead?
We do.
Do you know your cost per appointment?
Absolutely.
And do you know your cost per closing?
Absolutely.
So having that data, if your cost per appointment is, let's say, 25% of the closing check, I'm sorry, not cost per appointment. If your cost per closing is 25% of the closing check, would you continue to buy more of those leads?
Yeah, I think so.
I think most realtors are kind of accustomed to paying 25% referrals if another agent were to send them business. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
So, but if you don't know, you start to make assumptions and the mindset gets kind of messed up inside because you don't really know. If you don't know, you don't know, right? So what I really challenge you to do is know your numbers. That's number one. Know your numbers so you can make informative decisions. I'm a big fan of remembering this because I've learned my lessons over life. And the moment that you start making emotional decisions, you will lose. Every time you think or feel about a decision about your business, it's probably not the right decision. Know the numbers, okay? Number two, when we think about these ready, willing, and able buyers over here, we're going to work with them, we're going to stay in contact, and we're going to do all of those things. This bucket right here is still really important to focus on too because, Kevin, when you spend a lot of money for a lead out of this bucket, how many other agents do you think also bought the same lead?
I would say the majority of agents out there are still trying to actively prospect the same leads that we have.
Yeah, they spend the big money on that lead, so they think that that's the lead that only them are actually focusing on. But a call and a text and an email just doesn't get it anymore, right? So, we like to think we're a video first company. So video, video, video. Are you communicating with these leads? And this goes for this bucket too. But are you communicating with these leads in the way that they want to be communicated with? And more importantly, different than everybody else. So I'm pretty sure your team is big on video, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So there's these systems out there called BombBomb, if you haven't heard of it. There's this thing called the camera on your phone, right? Where you can literally just say, hey, it's Doug Edrington. I'm with Banana Real Estate, and I just wanted you to know that I just got your information. I'd love to help you. I just wanted to put a face and connect you with me and let you know that I'm here to help you. Whatever it may be. It's just the spiel, right? But do you think that would leave a lasting impression on that person versus the other 6 voicemails that they got? Very professional. Hello, my name is so-and-so from this company. It just doesn't leave the same impression, right? So you got to be different for this bucket. But let's not forget the other bucket now, though. The other bucket, we still got to communicate with them because typically we'll see that this bucket has a lower cost per lead. And not always, but a lot of times it's lower cost per lead. Let's say, for example, Facebook leads. If you haven't heard of this thing called Lead Ads, you should probably Google it if you're in the real estate business. It's a pretty awesome tool that's been around for, a year now. But it generates a ton of business. And so the thing is the worst thing I see when an agent gets a person that comes on the Facebook and comments on their post and says, hey, can I see more pictures? And the agent says, hey, no problem, give me your phone number and your email address and I'll send them to you. That's like saying, hey, we're on the phone, Kevin. Can you hang up in here and let's use the landline? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So are we communicating with them that way? How does your ISA team communicate with leads? Is it just phone?
No, it's all based on how they communicate with us. So for instance, if we do run a lead ad or some sort of Facebook post and that we inquire about we actually obtain that lead from Facebook, it's more than likely communicated with the Facebook Messenger. So always the form of communication that they reach out to us for.
That's awesome. Now, there's some challenges that come with that though, right?
Absolutely.
So there's this thing called a CRM that most agents use where you put all that data into it, but you don't necessarily have a name and a phone number. You may have a name or you may have a Instagram handle, right? You may have something like that. How do you deal with that? You can't have a CRM to put them in, or can you?
No, well, it's all based on, making the messenger work for you, breaking it down, turning essentially the Facebook Messenger into a CRM so you can have those follow-up dates to reach out to those people when you haven't contacted them in a certain amount of time. So creating a thing that works for you, a CRM that works for you, and of course once you get the email and the phone number, you put them into the CRM that you personally use and follow up with them that way.
I've seen what they're doing, and it's pretty awesome how they've completely turned Facebook into its own CRM through Messenger, where 5 ISAs are working it. It's insane. Gives me chills just thinking about it because there's not many people out there doing it, and it took you guys a long time to figure that out, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of trial and error, but you got to do these things. The last thing I want to leave with you, number three tactic for these 2 buckets. You got to have a plan. You got to focus on how you're going to do it, because if you're reacting to lead after lead after lead the same way with no plan, no structure, then you're probably not going to get the results that you're looking for. What I mean by that is Kevin, how often do you sit down with like your marketing manager and actually just like not work like in the business, like, but on the business?
On the business. That's a big difference. I'm glad you differentiated that. But we actually meet every week for an hour a week. And we discuss not actually what we're doing at that very second, but what we plan to do in the future.
That's awesome. It's really important to think about this, guys, too. We are creating hundreds of leads, then it's going to be thousands of leads, and it's going to be tens of thousands of leads. At some point in time in your career, you're going to have a lot of people. Thinking ahead, it's one thing to say, hey, we can do this, this, and this on Facebook, but I want you to take a step further when you're working on your business and you're considering these leads of how is it scalable and how can we have that exponential growth, not the linear growth that most of us end up doing. So think about those things, because what works today may not work tomorrow unless you plan ahead for it. Doesn't mean you won't run into some change and some challenges that you're going to face, but if you at least have it aware, you're going to make some great decisions. But I'm pretty sure like you're meeting with marketing, you're meeting with your ISAs,
Absolutely.
You're meeting with the sales department,
Absolutely.
You're meeting, just all the different departments in the business. Working on the business makes Kevin have one of the most successful teams in town. So I'm so glad to have you. I hope you guys took a lot away from this. And you know what? If you have any questions for Kevin, I think this is a great time probably to comment below, and I'm pretty sure I can get you to help out, right?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome.
Bye.